Good evening and welcome to France, to the rolling roads of Roule, my Poule, for stage 1 of the SISU tour. And this one's different, ladies and gentlemen. It's an individual time trial, 26 kilometres, category C, 350 to 520 on the racing score. No bunch, no hiding, every rider set loose alone against the clock.
And the first ramp light screen! Away they go, one by one. The clock is running and this time trial is live. So, Chloe, no wheels to follow, no bunch to save them. On pure horsepower, who's your pick to set the fastest time tonight?
Well, on a day like this, Simon, there's nowhere to cheat the wind and nowhere to recover. So I'm reading one number above all, sustained power to weight. And Nuttall towers over this field at 4.1 watts per kilo at threshold. He is the engine to beat, full stop. Blenkiron's the next strongest diesel at 3.6 and loves a long grind. And I'd have SAGAWA right in the mix too, 3.6 for 20 minutes, and he won his category last time out. The dark horse is Vargas, a touch lighter on the numbers but riding electric form, a category win by a street and podium stacked behind it. This is a 2-climb course wrapped around a long flat middle, so the win goes to whoever meters those bookend climbs and never once tips over the edge. And to watch it happen, keep your eye on the live Limit Leaderboard down the screen. Each rider gets a heart rate bar running full width across the top, and beneath it, 2 more side by side, a flame on the left, a lightning bolt on the right. The heart tracks how close they are to a best ever cardiac effort. The flame is the live one, how near they're riding to their systemic ceiling this very second. And the bolt is power, how close they sit to a personal best output for the time they've held it. Full and green means comfortable. Drain it toward empty and they're on the rivet. And when a bar empties out and flashes, they've just gone somewhere they have never been before.
And one quick word before the action. You'll see a few riders out on the road who aren't on our official start sheet, so they won't feature in the call or on the leaderboard. Keep your eyes on the names that count, because the clock is ticking and it's time to go racing.
And straight away, the board is talking, Simon. We're on the plunge off the Petite KOM now. The one place on this whole course gravity gives him something back. And yet Blenkiron has his power bar already draining to nearly nothing. Right on the edge of a career best output this early? That's a huge bet from one of my favorites. Gershenson's deep in it too, heart pinned high. In a normal race, you tuck in and let it refill on a descent like this. But there's no wheel to sit on tonight, so every match lit now is a match that stays gone.
Yeah, Doc's spot on. No free rides tonight, and that's exactly why the smart prep pays off. Word in the paddock is SAGAWA spent the last few weeks on a proper heat block, sauna straight after every ride, cooking himself on purpose. Sounds like madness, but there's real method in it. Bake the body in the heat, and it responds by pumping up your blood plasma volume, so you've literally got more blood to play with. More blood means a heart that runs cooler and steadier at the same watts, and on a lonely 26k grind with nowhere to hide, a heart that isn't drifting into the red is worth its weight in gold.
Love it, Robbo! Cooking himself in a sauna for a bike race. The things they do. And it's the little kicker up to the aqueduct now, the first real pinch since the start. Chloe called Vargas her dark horse before the off, and you can see why. Last time he pinned a number on this exact category, he didn't just win it, he won it by the length of the straight. 36 odd points added to his racing score in a single afternoon. That's not a fluke. That's a rider arriving on the form of his life. On a course that rewards the man who simply keeps turning the screw. Don't you dare take your eyes off him.
Turning the screw. That's the whole race in 3 words, Simon. And right now, 2 men are doing it very differently up front. Blenkiron's out there posting the fastest splits of anyone. But read his heart bar. It's flashing empty, maxed out. And he's still got both bookend climbs to pay for. That is a rider writing checks his body may not cash. Nuttall, though? This is the one that should worry the field. Biggest engine here, and he's cruising, metering it so calmly his cardiac bar barely registers. If he's this comfortable already, the man to beat is exactly who I said it'd be. And quietly, around the camera, Vargas and Poole are pacing this to perfection. Nothing spent, everything still in the tank for the long drag home.
And that Nuttall engine you're purring about, Doc, it didn't come from nowhere. I hear he's just back from a fortnight up at altitude, living up in the thin air of Sierra Nevada. Brutal way to spend a holiday, but the payoff's real. Starve the body of oxygen up high for long enough, and it panics and builds a swag of extra red blood cells to cope. Come back down to sea level, and suddenly you're carrying more oxygen to the legs with every single beat, free aerobic horsepower baked right in. On a long, honest grind like this, that's the difference between cruising at threshold and clinging to it. No wonder he looks like he's out for a Sunday spin.
Out for a Sunday spin! I'll never look at a sauna the same way again, Robbo! And while all eyes are on the big engines, let me shine a light on a man quietly going about his business near the camera. Eggleton. He doesn't grab headlines, but pull his recent form, and it's a thing of beauty. Third, then second, a run of podium after podium in this very category. His racing score ticking up every single time out. This flat, grinding middle section is exactly where a metronome like him makes hay. No fireworks, no drama, just a rider who has learned, race by race, precisely how hard he can go and never blink.
Never blink. And that's about to be tested to breaking point, Simon, because this pan-flat marina stretch is the calm before the guillotine. In a few kilometers, the road rears back up the Petit KOM to the line, and that climb is going to send the bill to every rider who spent this race in the red. Nuttall's fine, still barely breathing. The win is his to lose. But look at the men chasing his time. Blenkiron and Rctfan have had their hearts pinned to the absolute ceiling for the best part of half an hour now, and you cannot climb a wall on an empty heart. And the big wattage men flying out here on the flat, Wiese, Smith, the moment gravity switches on, all those raw watts stop mattering, and it's watts per kilo that talks. The reckoning is coming, and it's coming uphill.
Coming uphill and coming to hurt, Doc, and this is where a bit of clever chemistry earns its keep. I'm told Clark's been loading up on sodium bicarbonate before his hard days. Baking soda, basically. Sounds like a kitchen cupboard remedy, but the science is legit. When you climb flat out, your legs flood with acid, and that burn is what forces you to back off. Bicarb tips extra buffer into the blood that soaks up that acid like a sponge, so you can hold a savage effort a good bit longer before the legs slam the door. On a climb that decides the whole race, buying yourself even 10 more seconds before the burn bites, that's gold.
Baking soda for glory! Robbo, you're a fountain of wisdom tonight. And speaking of riders selling themselves for every second, let me hand a bouquet to Gershenson, one of just a couple of women taking it to the whole field here. Her heart bar's been flashing at the ceiling for an age, and she is simply refusing to yield a meter. And this is no fluke ride. Cast back a few weeks, and she took a storming second place in her category, nearly 20 points onto her racing score in an afternoon. There is real steel in this rider, and she is pouring every last drop of it onto this road right now. Marvellous stuff.
And now we find out who told the truth on that flat, Simon, because the road has turned up and the Petit KOM is biting. Nuttall's just tilted onto it without a flicker. Same serene rhythm, still nowhere near his ceiling. Absolutely ominous. But watch SAGAWA light up beneath him. He's kicked his power to a career best right as the gradient hits. And there's Robbo's sauna work made flesh, the cool engine finding another gear when everyone else is boiling. And the prophecy's coming true up front too. Blenkiron's watts are quietly sliding, that maxed out heart finally presenting its invoice. He is a rider running on the fumes of fumes. The men who paced it and the men who didn't are separating in front of our eyes.
Separating is right, Doc, and look who's kicking hard on the steep of it, Davidoffbeat. That's no accident either. I hear he spent the winter buried in a VO2 max block, those short, filthy 3-minute intervals way above threshold that make you want to climb off. Horrible to do, but they lift the very ceiling of what your body can take in and burn. So when the road ramps and everyone else is drowning in the red, blokes like him have just got that bit more headroom up top to punch back. And he's spending it now, and it's the difference between hanging on and going backwards. Yeah, righto, Simon. And up at the banner, the big diesels are already stopping their clocks. Nuttall's over the top and across, looking every inch the man who paced this to perfection. Rctfan and Blenkiron have hauled themselves over the line right around him too. Time's on the board, but it's not settled. SAGAWA's still driving up the last ramp with that career best surge. Wiese throwing every raw watt at it. YT grinding for the line. And every second any of them drops now is a second that counts against the clock. It's tight at the top, mate. Back to you to bring them home.
And there's Wiese, hurling that big frame over the line at last, utterly spent. But up the road the story is already carved into the clock. Nuttall's time is simply untouchable. A serene and masterful ride from the strongest engine in the race, and there is nothing left out here that can lay a glove on it. The stage is his. Rctfan and Blenkiron, the next best home, exactly as Chloe called it. And now the camera anchor hits the cruel final ramp. Poule, out of the saddle, heart and power both flashing empty, wringing out every last watt he owns, refusing to be denied his own line. And Poule heaves it over the banner, across, gloriously, completely empty.
Empty and honorable, Simon. Every one of them left it all on that climb. But this win was authored in cold restraint. Nuttall never once let his cardiac bar so much as flicker, metered every single watt, and simply rode away from a field that spent the whole day in the red. Rctfan and Blenkiron round out the podium, heroic to the last, but they paid at the line for hearts pinned to the ceiling for half an hour. Exactly the invoice I warned was coming. SAGAWA climbing into fifth on that sauna-forged engine, coolest when it mattered most. Honestly, every little training tale we told wrote itself right onto that final ramp.
And there it is, right the main Nuttall at the very top of the sheet. A time trial won not with fireworks, but with ice-cold judgment. The strongest engine in France, ridden with the coolest head in France. Chapeau to every soul who hurled themselves at this clock tonight. There is nowhere to hide in a race of truth like this, and not one of them flinched. And Chloe, you called it to the letter as ever. The poetry takes a bow to the physics one more time. From all of us here at the SISU Tour, thank you for your company. Ride safe, dream in watts, and we will see you on the road. Good night.